we looked at the fuel bottles and the stove in the first part. Now what we're going to do is connect everything up and light a stove. Now that's empty, so I'm going to take this one. Now I've got the bottle here. I've got to put pressure into the bottle and I'll pump this. And I pump that 25 times. There's an off system here which is already off, so there's nothing getting out, and I take the cap off there. I take the stove, take the cap off the end of the stove feed line, and it's a little bayonet fitting. I pop into there, push for it, and that's connected up. Open up the legs on the stove, and this is my control. So once I open the valve letting the fuel out of the tank, then I've got this to control the fuel into there. A little tip for people is just be aware of where the wind's blowing, and I can tell the wind's blowing this way today, so I'm going to orientate this because I know when I light it I'll get a little bit of extra flame as I'm warming up the stove. So I open the fuel feed, and then I open the fuel line, and I'm going to have liquid fuel come along here. It's going to come out of here, and it's going to wet the wick at the bottom, and I'm going to use that to prime the stove because I need to make the base of the stove hot to get everything started. Now I've got some fuel in there now, and excuse me while I just come around and I block the view a little bit, but it's where the holes are on the stove for lighting it, and I'm going to light the stove. And so that's the stove lit, and you can see the yellow flame. The yellow flame is the liquid burning from the wick, and what that's doing is that's heating up the metal base, the brass base of the stove. And I want to get that nice and warm so that then when I next open the valve and send the liquid down here, it then goes into the hot chamber, turns into a gas and burns at the top of the stove as a gas. And that's actually what we're going to cook on. So the yellow flame is just the warm-up stage. It's sort of preamble bit. It's probably warm enough now, but I put a little bit too much fuel in there, and I want to let that yellow flame burn a bit. When I feel things are going to be hot enough, I just open up the valve, and that will help to burn off the liquid fuel. And we now have the stove lit, roaring away nicely, nice and hot. And I pop the windshield around there, and it's a very stable low thing, and the fuel tank is there. There's an on symbol at the top of the pump here. Now if I turn this over, then the feed from out of the fuel bottle is just going to be air. We showed that in an earlier short bit of video that we did. But what I want to do is I want to flip that over now to give you an idea of how efficient this stove is. It is now only taking air out of here. All the time this is burning now, it is just burning the liquid, the few drops of liquid left in the hose. It's an extremely efficient system. It doesn't need a lot of fuel to cook for quite a while. Be patient. It is only taking air out of this tank, and it is only burning the fuel in this line. It will go out, I'm sure. And there we go, it's gone out. And that gives you an idea of how efficient, how fantastically efficient these stoves are. What's happening right now is that this is purging itself, and the pressure is coming out of this canister down the line, and it's just air coming out now, and I'm just letting the air, the pressure, come out of the bottle, so there's no pressure left in the bottle. Thank you very much.